These are dark times, there is no denying. Our world has perhaps faced no greater threat than it does today. But I say this to our citizenry. We, ever your servants, will continue to defend your liberty and repel the forces that seek to take it from you.
You're listening to The Stephen Torriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Torriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, as we were recording the show last night, apparently the debates were on. So, that just goes to show how interesting that was. Nobody cares about these debates. In my eyes, there's only one clear person up there, and that's Ron DeSantis. Everyone else, this is just a huge waste of money that could be going to, I don't know, securing our elections in these swing states. You know, making sure that our elections are not going to be rigged again in 2024. Every single conservative or Republican I talk to says that their number one concern is that Democrats are going to rig and steal another election in 2024 because they're not seeing anything being done about it. And I have to agree. I don't either. And I scroll through the news all day long. I read into all this stuff all day, every day. And I never see anything, hardly anything. I'll see one or two articles that talk about, you know, election and the election integrity and what these states are doing. But other than having a team of lawyers or a team of people out there making sure and trying to get these laws changed back to pre-2020, you know, pre-pandemic laws, I don't see it. And so I think that's a huge concern for a lot of people because they realize, like, what's the point of any of this if they're just going to cheat again in the next election? And they would be right. They would be. There is no point. It would give off this appearance of democracy. It would give off this appearance of having an election. But if they're going to be rigged just like they were in 2020, what's the point? I mean, if they can just count ballots until they get the results they want, what's the point? It's like, you know, what happened in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump loses a 700,000 vote lead overnight, and then they just keep counting and counting and counting until they get enough votes, and then they call it. They call the race. I think the media outlets calling races is not right because that is definitely a form of voter intimidation, a form of voter oppression. You know, these media outlets call a race, and then people that are waiting in line to vote look down at their phone, and then they go home because what's the point? So I think media outlets calling the race, and this happened in 2020 with several news outlets calling the race early for Donald Trump or calling the race early for Joe Biden. It was a disaster. And so, you know, Democrats are most certainly going to cheat again in 2024. They are going to cause chaos again in 2024. And I think people are, you know, they're just waiting to see what's going to be done about it. And I don't know. I can't find anything on it. So, and I look every day. And when I do, I'll bring it to you. But honestly, I don't know what any other than Ron DeSantis, which I think is going to be vice president. I think him and Donald Trump are going to run on the same ticket. I've made this prediction months ago, so you heard it here first. A long time ago, we said this, and I'll take the backlash if I'm wrong, and if I'm right, then I think I've earned the trust of you guys. I think at least that, right? So I don't know why all this money's being wasted on these debates. I mean, you're talking about, they said upwards of $1 billion is going to be spent just on one side of the 2024 election. $1 billion. And so to me, I think it's a waste of money. But it just goes to show nobody watched the debates. And that's true because I got an article here from Just the News that the second primary debate ratings tank. And they dropped by 3.5 million viewers since the first debate. So 3.5 million less people watched the second debate than the first debate. And supposedly from the people that I've been listening to today, from what I've been reading, everyone says this one was better than the first debate. You had different winners, different losers. And everyone I've talked to thus far has said that Ron DeSantis was the clear winner out of that. So these people, it is clear that they're trying to run for second. But like, why does Chris Christie think that he's honestly got a shot here? Like, what is his purpose? Like, what is the purpose here? Who is paying Chris Christie to go up there and, I don't know, fight for the Democrats? Is that what he's doing? Like, I don't understand what these people are doing. This is why the Republican Party sucks. This is why I didn't want to be a Republican, was for reasons just like this. Democrats don't do this to each other. They don't. You got RFK Jr. getting screwed out of the primaries just like Bernie Sanders, and look at them. Bernie Sanders got screwed by the DNC, and Bernie Sanders is a loyalist. He's staying in there. And so it's like, you know, it's Democrats don't do this. Republicans are awful about this. They'll eat each other up. I don't like the name calling from Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. I think it's unnecessary. I think Donald Trump has already got this in the bag. I think, you know, he needs to just go ahead and bring Ron DeSantis on board as VP and win this election. Because everybody knows a Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis ticket would decimate all. It would be the ultimate ticket. Like, you either want Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis. There's nobody else. You know, I don't see a whole lot of people, you know, cheering for Mike Pence. So it's like, look, I think those two together, you got a pretty hardcore ticket. And so it's no wonder why there's 3.5 million less viewers on that debate. It's, you know, it just sucks. But like I said, what I did get out of it, Ron DeSantis won. For what it's worth, I don't know. But personally, I disagree with the whole notion anyways. I mean, sure, go ahead, go through the motions, do what you got to do. But it's the waste of money to me that I just can't come to terms with. You're going to waste all this money when we have all these problems in our elections in these swing states. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out. But you know what else is weird? Yesterday, you guys remember when I was talking about, I did that article about the DHS's Alejandro Mayorkas's intelligence group that he started, which is essentially going to be a repeat of 2020, where we have the taxpayer-funded intel agencies interfering in our elections by censoring people. And remember how I was shocked that nobody was talking about it. I'm like, because the article came out at the 19th. The group was announced on the 19th of September. And I don't know what happened on the 19th that was so important that nobody covered this. But apparently it's a big deal now. This is something they're fighting for in these debt bills. And so I got an article here from the Gateway Pundit, hat tip to Jim Hoft. West Virginia official calls on Speaker McCarthy and GOP House to hold funding from DHS until they fire the clowns James Clapper and John Brennan. Yes. This is exactly what I like to see. I like to see pushback like this. This was concerning to me last night when I was reading this article. It's like, how are you going to allow these two frauds to interfere in another election? These guys should lose everything and be thrown out on the street, but yet the taxpayers are going to be funding them again? These people, they won't go away. They won't go away. They cannot leave this place alone, even after all the damage that they've caused this place. They don't get it. They still think they're freaking like superheroes. For I don't know, rigging an election, signing that letter to give Joe Biden the ability to lie. These people, one of these guys lied under oath and admitted to lying under oath. And he's not being arrested. Why is he? You know, it's all just a big freaking game. It is an obvious two-tier justice system that so as long as you're batting for the right team, you are okay. You can break the law. When these people say that there's nobody above the law, what they mean to say is no Republican is above the law. Any Democrat is above the law just so long as you toe the line. That's it. And so this article just came out. West Virginia Secretary of State Mac Warner fired off a letter to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and House Appropriations Committee Chair Kay Granger, demanding House Republicans defund the Department of Homeland Security until the agency fires election cheaters John Brennan, James Clapper, and Paul Colby from their so-called experts group. who will coordinate with the agency's Intelligence and Analysis Division and Office of Counterterrorism Coordinator. So essentially, they're in charge of coming after any dissenters, would-be dissenters. I don't know, like Republicans. I don't know, like the 1,300 people they have locked up for January 6th for protesting their government. The censorship. Again, they're probably joined forces with Facebook and censor and block people's content so that people can't get the truth. The same stuff. It is the same operation by the same damn people. It's the same people. It's been the same people for 8 years. And you guys know that I've been saying this for months. It is the same cabal of people in the top echelons of our government that control everything. These unelected bureaucrats that have been in government for multiple administrations, and they stay, and these people are the ones with the power. These people are the ones pulling the strings. People like Brennan and people like Clapper. These guys are awful, awful people, and they have caused so much damage to this country, and they think they're heroes. It's truly, truly incredible. And so former DNI James Clapper and former CIA Director John Brennan are famous for their role in the attempted coup of President Trump, pushing the Russia conspiracy that attempted to tie President Trump to Putin. Both of these men knew this was a bogus investigation from the start before the 2016 election. They knew it was funded and launched by Hillary Clinton campaign, and they both knew Trump had no serious contacts with Russian leaders. But they ran with it anyways. Then, in 2020, Bot Clapper and Brennan signed a letter with 51 total intel experts who claimed Hunter Biden's laptop of filth, porn, crack, and crimes was Russia disinformation. They signed their names to this letter knowing this was a lie. Last week, they were rewarded with a spot on the DHS experts team to discuss counterterrorism and crack down on American conservatives and Trump supporters. Republicans continue to fund their own demise. Yes, I've been saying this exact phrase for months. The Republicans are funding their own demise. They're funding the destruction of this country. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. And so what I seen last night with them, bringing in the Holman rule for, what's his name? Lloyd Austin. For bringing in the Holman rule on Lloyd Austin and making his position essentially null and void because they decreased his salary to $1. And so essentially it voids out that position. And that's exactly the type of fight that we need to be giving these people. The Democrats don't understand anything but power. The only thing they will understand is fighting fire with fire. And so this is why I say that what happened last night with Lloyd Austin is what needs to happen to all of these people. And it's just so incredible how the Republicans in the House can't see this. They are funding the destruction of their own party. The Democrats are trying to eviscerate the GOP, the Republican Party, and these people are funding their own destruction. It is wild, man. It is truly wild that these people can't see it. And so this is why I always say Republicans are perfectly fine coming in second. They're perfectly fine being slapped around by Democrats just so long as Democrats don't ball up their fists. These people are the controlled opposition. They always have been. And this is why this is the one thing unilaterally that people hate about the Republican Party is that they're weak, they're feckless, they're cowards, and they don't fight. They just don't fight for anything, not even for the American people. The only thing they're worried about is getting elected and then reelected. That is it. Their constituents always come last in the Republican Party. And so this is why people are sick of the Republican Party. So the Federalist came out and did a report, and they said West Virginia's top election official is demanding House Republicans withhold funding from the Department of Homeland Security until the agency fires its recent hires who interfered in the 2020 election to help then-candidate Joe Biden. In a letter sent to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Representative Kay Granger, the Republican from Texas, the chair of the House Appropriations Committee on Tuesday, West Virginia Secretary of State Mac Warner called on House Republicans to put a kibosh on DHS funding until the agency fires former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennon, and Paul Colby, a former CIA operations officer, for signing their names to the debunked letter from 51 former intel officials that falsely claimed the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation. Warner's letter comes in response to an announcement from DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas last week that the agency launched a Homeland Intelligence Experts Group comprised of private sector experts who will provide their unique perspectives on the federal government's intelligence enterprise. According to the DHS press release, the group, which includes journalists, human rights advocates, the former senior intelligence officials such as Clapper and Brennan and Colby, will coordinate with the agency's Intelligence and Analysis Division and Office of the Counterterrorism Coordinator. They're bringing back in the deep state. So essentially, the American taxpayer is going to be funding people like Brennan and Clapper to rig another election, to interfere in their federal elections. And so, So I did a little bit digging on Clapper because I wanted to hear what the hell did this guy, what other than all the other fraudulent stuff that this guy has done for the last 8 years that I've known about him, what did he lie about under oath? And so I pulled up an article here from usnews.com from 2013. And so the Director of National Intelligence apologized in June to the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee for lying during a hearing, according to a letter published on the DNI website on Tuesday. Director James Clapper appeared before the committee in March, where Senator Ron Wyden, the Democrat from Oregon, asked him specifically if NSA spies on millions of Americans. Clapper answered no. Is this not incredible? This was actually before Trump derangement syndrome, when Democrats were actually concerned about the powers of the federal government. So you actually had a Democrat back in 2013 asking about if the intel agencies are spying on Americans. You would never, ever hear a Democrat talk about that today. Democrats are now the party of censorship. We talked about this weeks ago. Over 70% of Democrats support government censorship. So it is certain that a Democrat today would never come out and accuse Clapper of spying on Americans illegally. Never. These people would support it, and that is because Donald Trump has broken these people. I don't know what it is. I really don't. It is a true phenomenon. Back in 2013, I was an independent. I didn't really become a Republican until about 14, 15 when Donald Trump announced. A little bit before, but I started getting interested when Donald Trump announced. But when I was a Democrat and I voted for Obama, us as a Democrat, along with my other fellow Democrats, were extremely concerned about the power and the spying of the intel agencies on Americans. Like, it was the Democrats that wanted secure borders. It was the Democrats that were anti-FBI because of all the wiretapping and spying that they did on all the civil rights movements. So now it's like the roles have flipped. The roles have flipped. Now Democrats are like pro-war. They're pro-spying, pro-FBI, pro-intel agencies spying on Americans just so long as they're Republicans. And it's like, what the hell, man? What the hell is going on? And so this is why I say that the Trump derangement syndrome has broken these people, broken them. And so that was Clapper. All right. So then I wanted to look into John Brennan because I knew this guy was awful. This guy was completely obsessed with Donald Trump. Like, he was a true hardcore leftist. And so this is the type of guy that Republicans should be terrified being on any kind of intel group that has the ability or power to come after regular Americans. Because this guy hates Trump so bad, that means he has complete disdain for anybody that would vote for him. And so this guy is one of the worst people that can ever have any type of security clearance or any type of power in government. This guy needs to be neutered and thrown out on the street. And when I say neutered, I don't mean like actually physically neutered, which maybe he is, maybe he should be. But I'm saying neutered as if this guy should not have any connections. He should not be credible to anybody. He should not have any security clearance, no 401k, no pension. They should delete this guy's record from ever serving in this government, period. Because this guy, that's how bad this guy is. Donald Trump really broke this guy. And so John Brennan stepped down as a CIA director the moment Donald Trump was being sworn in as president on noon, January 20th, 2017. The next day, Trump visited CIA headquarters, so he wanted to make a statement. So this is how much he hated Donald Trump. So you mean to tell me that this guy had no connections with the spying campaign that they conducted against Donald Trump on his campaign? Of course he did. Of course he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the entire damn thing. And so the next day, Trump visited the CIA headquarters and spoke about the size of his inauguration crowd while standing in front of the agency's memorial wall. This is what still to this day breaks people. This crowd exaggeration. You know, this is one of the biggest lies that Donald Trump ever said was the size of his crowd. But Joe Biden doesn't lie. No. All of Joe Biden's lies are just, he's a spokesman. He's a business guy. He's a what do you call it? He's just exaggerating, That's all Joe Biden does. But Donald Trump talking about his crowd size, that is treasonous. So the next day, Trump visited CIA headquarters, spoke about the size of his inauguration crowd while standing in front of the agency's memorial wall, featuring a star for each CIA employee killed in the line of duty. And then this is where Brennan says, quote, "I couldn't take it anymore. I felt physically nauseated watching and listening to him." Brennan writes in his new memoir, Undaunted, My Fight Against America's Enemies, at Home and Abroad. Brennan left home for the gym to blow off some steam, only to see Trump's remarks repeated on the television screen as he rode a stationary bike. One day out of office, and while pedaling at the gym, Brennan texted a former aide with a public statement, quote, "Former Director Brennan is deeply saddened and angered at Donald Trump's despicable display of self-aggrandizement in front of CIA's memorial wall of agency heroes. He should be ashamed of himself." But no, anything the self-aggrandizing Joe Biden does is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Everything Joe Biden does is great. This guy hates you. Literally hates Americans. He hates them. He has a level of hatred for anybody that would support Donald Trump. This is what should freak people out, man. Is this guy anywhere near any type of intelligence agency, any type of authority role? I mean, it should really be terrifying. Like I said, this guy should be thrown out of street as far away from any type of security clearance or government role as possible. So since then, Brennan has assailed Trump nonstop on Twitter, cable TV, in newspaper op-eds, and now in his book. Gone are the days when national security chiefs quietly retired and perhaps wrote a discreet book a few years later, recounting their years of service in understated tones. National security leaders, including former CIA directors, are as outspoken as anyone in the post-September 11th era, and Brennan is the most outspoken of all. Here's a tweet from John Brennan. On September 29th, 2020, "I have no compliment Donald Trump on doing an excellent job at tonight's debate of demonstrating that he is a despicable, ignorant fool." Folks, that same exact debate, Joe Biden lied to all the American people, and this guy knew about it. He was one of the former intel agents that signed that letter that allowed Joe Biden to lie to the American people about his corruption and that laptop, his idiot kid's laptop, being Russian disinformation. As this guy purposely shows disdain for Americans and Donald Trump, he is actively and knowingly interfering in an election to get a lying fraud across the finish line to run our country as president. Tell me this guy wasn't broken by Trump derangement syndrome. It's about as bad as it gets. This guy's completely clueless. Like I said, he's got this one-way tunnel vision that all they can see is Donald Trump. They cannot see the wake of damage that they're leaving behind on their jihad against Donald Trump. They can't see it. So in his own words, Brennan is a hot-tempered, working-class Irish Catholic kid from New Jersey. He never runs short of vitriol, and while Trump is the main target, there are many more. So it's okay for this guy to just throw out vitriolic comments, but it's not okay for Donald Trump. This is what I'm talking about, man. The double standards, the hypocrisy. Brennan also takes swipes at his successor as CIA chief Mike Pompeo, who he describes as putting loyalty to Donald Trump above commitment to the country. Folks, these two people, Donald Trump and Pompeo, gave this country the best years it's seen in decades. Regardless of people like Brennan keeping this place safe that allowed 9/11 to happen, but I digress. So Donald Trump and Pompeo were out there creating peace in the Middle East. What do you think John Brennan has to say about that? Where was John Brennan when those planes flew into the towers in New York City? I don't know. It looks like to me this guy's a complete epic failure, and he has envy for Donald Trump being such a good president. That's what I say. Brennan also notes that Pompeo didn't invite him to the CIA Christmas party. Oh, didn't get invited to your corrupt little bureaucratic party? Oh, poor baby, poor baby. I hope you're listening to this, you feckless loser. I really do. You are worthless. You are an enemy to this country. You have destroyed this country more than you know, buddy. More than you know. And you know what? I hope you live forever. I do. I hope you live forever so that you can see all the destruction you caused this country. And every single day you wake up, you get to look around with your nice cushy pension and 401k that you got for the fraud career that you gave this country, like a tick on the ass of the American taxpayer, sucking this country dry. And you get to look around off your balcony and see all the destruction that you caused this country for signing that letter, you fraud. You fraud. You lied to the American people. You, sir, are the enemy of this country. You have become everything that you claim to hate. These people are disgusting. Disgusting. So I thought that was pretty interesting. These people infuriate me if you couldn't tell. I'm usually not, like, I don't get that infuriated at people. But if you listen to the show at any point in time, we've made this connection a long time ago about, if not for that letter that this fraud, Brennan and Clapper and all the other 49 different intel agents signed to allow Joe Biden to lie to the American people would not be in all the pain and misery they are in today. We would not be in a Ukraine war. You would not be paying $5 for gas. You would not be getting a second mortgage on your house to pay for groceries. This country would not be in the shape it's in today if not for people like Brennan and Clapper signing that letter, allowing Joe Biden to lie to the American people just so the Democrats could get power. And get power to do what? Help the American people? Inc. Make gas cheaper? Nope. What was the benefit of getting somebody like Joe Biden into this country? What? What have these people done for anybody? These people are frauds, they're phonies, they're liars, and they're destructive. Every single thing that these people have done has destroyed this country. And this feckless fraud like Brennan is right there in the background trying to do it again in this new intel agency group for the DHS. And I hope the Republicans see this, and I hope they defund that program. Get rid of it, man. Get rid of it. It's truly remarkable that these people are again trying to start another misinformation governance board, or whatever it was called. You guys remember that? It was the Disinformation Governance Board. You remember that? Man, it's quite unfortunate. It really is. Quite unfortunate. So what you need to do is you need to call your senator, call your representatives, and make sure that these two frauds, Brennan and Clapper, I don't know about the other guy. He was another person that signed that intel letter that allowed Joe Biden to lie, that got Joe Biden across the finish line. I don't know about him, but the other two definitely did, and these people need to be as far away from any type of intel group as they can get. And so call your representatives. I'm going to give you a phone number. Call this phone number. Call your representative. This is actually the phone number for the Senate because I don't have the House phone number, but that's okay. You could probably get the number from the Senate. So call this number. It's 202-224-3121. Call this number, and it's going to be a message. It's going to be a switchboard. It's going to be an operator, so be polite. You know, that's how conservatives are. Republicans, we're polite people. And just tell them, I want to speak with my senator, and then it's whatever state you're in, and then after you ask to dispatch you to your senator, ask for the phone number for the House of Representatives. Call the House of Representatives and tell them the same thing. Tell them, I absolutely do not want these two phony frauds, these two spies, these enemies, these commies, these fascists, John Brennan and James Clapper, anywhere near an intel group at DHS, anywhere near, private, public, I don't care. These people should be thrown out on the street. You know what you should do is just tell them to defund this program altogether. There's no way they're starting a program. I can't believe it. I really can't. How are the Republicans allowing the Democrats to start up yet another program to interfere in another election by using Facebook, censorship, spying, FISA warrants? They'll probably come after Donald Trump. These people are the same people that they will come after Donald Trump when he wins the presidency. They'll try another impeachment. This stuff is never going to stop, folks. We are going to be in this in perpetuity, forever. Until Republicans learn to fight back, the Democrats will not stop. And so when Donald Trump wins the election, they're just going to continue to come after him. All these investigations, all these indictments are going to stay with Donald Trump forever. They will never stop. I don't care if he's president. I don't care after he's president. Even after he's dead, they're still going to be coming after Donald Trump to try and remove his record from the record books and try and destroy his history and his name. These people are sick. They have been psychologically broken. They are so broken they can't even realize the damage that they're causing this country. They're completely blinded to the fact that Joe Biden and the Democrats have essentially burned this damn country to the ground, and they can't see it. So make sure you call them. Make sure you call them. You want the number again? Let me give you the number again. All right, here's the number again. 202-224-3121. All right, so I had a couple other things I wanted to talk about. Look, the impeachment inquiry is, I mean, look, I was talking to my wife Carla earlier about this. There's not going to be any impeachment vote. There's not going to be, Joe Biden's not going to get impeached. But the level of evidence that is coming out against this family is astonishing. It is so bad. I mean, some of the stuff they're talking about, I mean, messages that are directly implicating Joe Biden as being not just knowledgeable about the business, but completely 100% involved in the business. These people purposely, they knew what they were doing. They knew they couldn't mention Joe Biden by his first name. They knew they had to mention him as the big guy or dad or whatever. I mean, it's completely awful when you have some of these messages that they're revealing in this impeachment inquiry. It's like, how in the hell can anybody sit there and say that Joe Biden knew nothing about his son's business deals? This is what they're saying. They are saying that Joe Biden knew nothing about his son's business deals. Well, now they're saying, oh, you have no evidence. So essentially, in just, 3 months, we went from Joe Biden didn't discuss anything with his son to Joe Biden never did business with the son. And then now it's like, oh, well, you can't prove it. It's like, so you're essentially admitting that Joe Biden was involved. Joe Biden knew about the business. Most likely Joe Biden got money, but you can't prove it. That's the point we're at now. And that's okay. That is okay. You know what? No one expects Joe Biden to be impeached. Nobody expects him to be indicted because these people don't get treated the way that Donald Trump gets treated. These people they're on a different level. People like Brennan, Clapper, Biden, Hillary, they're all on different. Obama. I want Obama to testify, damn it. I want Barack Obama under oath. Why does all this stuff get to happen all on Barack Obama's watch as he was president and Joe Biden was vice president, but yet Barack Obama's name isn't even mentioned in any of this? Everybody knows that Barack Obama knew about all this corruption. Everybody. So why not get him in there under oath and have him answer questions? Now's the time to do it. Because now they're in an official impeachment inquiry. So now is the best time to do it. What, is Barack Obama going to deny a subpoena? No. Bring him in there and ask him questions. What did you know and when did you know it about all this corruption? Because I'm telling you, folks, I remember reading articles years ago about the Obama administration and the staffers there knowing about the Biden's corruption and wanted to distance themselves away from the Bidens so that it didn't rub off on Obama's image. I'm telling you, this guy knows a lot about the corruption and the ongoing corruption with the Bidens as he was president in his administration. It just makes sense. So think about this. If Vice President Mike Pence was involved in this huge racketeering and RICO scam, this huge, money laundering scandal and selling off the country to foreign adversaries. If Mike Pence was responsible for that and him and his son were doing that, you don't think they would bring Donald Trump in and try and indict him for a co-conspirator and all of it? Of course they would. That would be the first person they brought in. Any way they can get to Donald Trump, they will do it. The same thing needs to happen to Barack Obama. What did this guy know? This guy, I think, is the true criminal. And just like my tried and true rule, everything the Democrats accuse their opponents of doing, they themselves are guilty of. And I'm telling you, if they were to look into Barack Obama and ask him questions about what he knew and when did he know it, you're going to get some very interesting answers about Joe Biden and his corruption, because they will do anything to protect Barack Obama. Even if that means throwing Joe Biden under the bus, they will do it. I promise you. Start going after Obama and you will see these people throw Joe Biden under the bus quicker than you know what. So that's exactly what they need to do. So the impeachment's certainly not going good for the Bidens. Like I said in the beginning, these people have 2 words: no evidence. Like they're a bunch of robots. They are like repeating robots. They're like the little pull string toys. You pull their string and the 2 words that come out of their mouth are no evidence. That's essentially what we're watching. It's like mass propagandizing. These people are being propagandized and they don't even realize it. People like CNN, Joe and Mika, MSNBC, they're propagandizing their viewers. And so they come out like zombies, like the Borg. No evidence. No evidence. It's weird, man. They can't. They can't think for themselves. They just can't. Let me see here. So the southern border. So New York Democrats to distribute flyers to illegals at southern border, warning them, quote, "You are better off somewhere else." Here we go. The sanctuary cities are no longer offering sanctuary to the illegal immigrants. What a joke, man. So here's a hat tip to David Greason. New York Democrats are planning to distribute flyers at the U.S.-Mexico border, telling illegals to, quote, "consider another city." On Wednesday, Mayor Eric Adams' office announced this plan to combat misinformation at the border. The flyers will be in both Spanish and English and will warn the illegals that New York City is the most expensive city in the world, so they will be better off somewhere else. The most expensive city in the world because of Democrat policies. And so I think Democrats should have to wallow in their own crap for what they vote for. And I feel bad for the Republicans that are still there. But why should the whole country have to suffer? Why should everyone have to suffer for Democrats' bad policies? Democrats in New York vote Democrat. They vote for these garbage policies. And so therefore they should have to suffer. They should have to deal with them. Like, it's so incredible that these people vote for open borders. They want illegal immigration until it comes to their city, and they're like, no, I can't. It's no different than the videos you see on TikTok and social media where you have these interviewers going around and saying, hey, I have some illegals here. Will you hold them up in your house? And they'll say, oh, no, I can't take them in. And this will be right after these people just got done saying how it's so incredible how we're letting illegal immigrants in here and they just need a safe place. And then they'll completely refuse to take any of these people into their own home. It's the same exact people. I say send them all to New York. Send them all to sanctuary cities. These people want to go to New York because it's New York. They're not being forced to go there. They're going there because they're being offered free stuff. These Democrat cities have been calling themselves sanctuary cities for years. Come here, we have the Statue of Liberty. That talking point they use? Oh, the Statue of Liberty, give me your tired, give me your weak and your poor or hungry, whatever it says. That's the excuse that they use for allowing illegal immigrants into the country, but you don't hear them saying anything about the Statue of Liberty when those illegal immigrants are going into New York City. In fact, it's the opposite. They're going to be sending flyers to the southern border to tell illegal immigrants crossing the border, don't come to this sanctuary city. It's wild, man. The hypocrisy, the double standard, it is just wild. How interesting that a sanctuary city run by Democrats have been all for illegal immigration is now troubled by the flood of illegal aliens. Leftist ideas sound compassionate coming from those Democrat leaders until it's at their front door. Yep. New York City wants to make illegal aliens a problem for other cities. Mayor Adams has provided tents for some illegals while relocating some to other parts of the state. The Democrat mayor wants to burden the rest of New York with the problem that they created for being a sanctuary city in the first place. They plan to turn away new arrivals and not give them any shelter or work opportunities either. In addition to Mayor Adams' office, New York Governor Kathy Hochul has been outspoken too. She told the illegals, quote, "If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else." New York's Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul sounded a lot like President Trump when she said migrants leaving their country should go somewhere else. Sure does. Isn't that racist? Tens of thousands of illegal aliens have flooded New York City, a proud sanctuary city. The illegals are taking over hotels, schools, and homeless shelters. And here's Kathy Hochul on CNN just the other night. Here, check this out.
We have to let the word out that when you come to New York, we're not going to have more hotel rooms. We don't have capacity. So we have to also message properly that we're at our limit. If you're going to leave your country, go somewhere else. But the smarter thing is to apply for asylum before you leave your country.
Oh, really? She wasn't saying that. Where was she 6 months ago? Where was she a year ago? So illegal immigration is okay for the country, but illegal immigration isn't okay for New York City, a sanctuary city. These people are a bunch of frauds, man. And I say they should have to waller in their own crap. These Democrats should have to deal with the consequences of their votes. These people vote for this stuff. Why would you not want to be a part of the policies that you support and vote for? So I think every single illegal immigrant should go right to these sanctuary cities where you'll get food, you'll get shelter, they'll pay for everything for you. They'll even give you some jobs. Yeah, go to New York City. It's incredible. And these people act like they got hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants. They got 110,000, folks. 110,000? Ladies and gentlemen, there's like 8,000 coming across the southern border a day down in Arizona and Texas. A day. 8,000 a day? The latest record was 12,500 people in a day. And these people are complaining about 100,000? I mean, these people's policies suck. Their ideas suck. And they are so damaging and dangerous for this country. And they don't even see it. I think they should have to deal with their ideas. You know, they push their policies and their ideologies on this country. They vote for Democrats. Democrats' ideas suck. So Democrats should have to deal with their consequences. Democrats should have to deal with the unintended consequences of their votes, of their policies. Doesn't that, I mean, why would I sit here and support something and vote for something? Well, I don't want any part of it. Like someone else has to deal with it, though. It is so typical, is what it is. I mean, I'm trying to think of a word for it. It's typical. This is a common pattern for Democrats and their crappy policies. And New Yorkers are not having none of it. None of it. I just read an article last night where they got illegal immigrants in schools now. Schools. They're housing illegal immigrants in schools. They're kicking homeless veterans out of shelters and replacing them with illegal immigrants. It is so disturbing. It's so destructive. It's just, it's shocking to me. It is shocking to me how destructive these people are. It's shocking to me how much damage that they have caused in just 2.5 years. They are fundamentally changing this country. They are destroying the rule of law. They are destroying the trust and credibility in our government institutions. They are turning this country into a totalitarian third world banana republic. And it's all in just 2.5 years. And then they want to point the finger at the other side and talk about how they're fascists. These people can't even see the harm that they're causing people. That's how deranged they are by Donald Trump. All this is caused by Donald Trump. When I was a Democrat, we supported secure borders. We supported all this stuff. And so now to sit here and say and be the complete opposite because of one man, mind you, one guy that made this country better for 4 years, that improved the quality of life of people. And then all these Democrats are going around talking about how Joe Biden is the best president since FDR. They're talking about him being the next coming FDR, the next coming Messiah. These people, they wonder why Joe Biden is falling in the polls. And they have to hire private intel groups using frauds like Brennan and Clapper to try and get Joe Biden across the finish line again, because people are starting to realize that everything that they told the American people about Joe Biden was a lie. It's so much harder to uphold a lie, to keep a lie going, than it is to just tell the truth. That was the problem with the Biden administration from day one, was they put all their effort and resources into just getting Joe Biden across the finish line, whether that's covering for him, allowing him to debate from his basement, lying for him, manipulating the people, getting intel agents to sign a letter, lying to the American people. They did all of that to get Joe Biden across the finish line. And as soon as he got across the finish line, the entire image that they gave Joe Biden just disintegrated right before our eyes within 6 months. Within 6 months, everybody knew exactly who Joe Biden was and who he wasn't. And now people are starting to realize that the media and our government institutions, our own taxpayer-funded institutions, lied to them wholeheartedly right to their face, and said that Joe Biden would be a better president because of this or because of this or because of this. And this guy's a flipping disaster. He has done record amounts of damage in record time. I mean, it is so bad you have to wonder if it's on purpose, and I think it is. You can argue that claim, because even a broken clock is right twice a day. Nobody does this much damage on accident, because we know it's not Joe Biden running the place. It's this corrupt group of people, like these corrupt bureaucrats in the deep state, people like Brennan and Clapper. These unelected people that nobody even know who they are running this country. We can honestly say that Joe Biden is not running this country. The guy, he every time he talks, he can't speak. He apparently can't walk. They have to set up secret operations to keep Joe Biden from falling down. They have to make Joe Biden walk down the lower flight of stairs on Air Force One so he doesn't trip down or up the stairs. Every time this guy talks, he has some kind of gaffe. And he looks like he's having mini strokes behind the podium. When he talks, he pauses for like 10 seconds and then starts mumbling. And it's hurting people, man. That's what pisses me off the most. It'd be one thing if everybody was doing fine. You know, they had cheap gas, the groceries were affordable, their bills were affordable, the interest rates were low, the inflation was low. If everybody's quality of life was improving, if the country was improving, nobody would care. But because people's lives are miserable now because of the Democrats' awful policies and this lying, fake, phony president, Joe Biden, and his entire administration, people are pissed off. People don't want it. And these people are going to try and shove it down your throats again. And it's unacceptable. And they're going to shove it down your throats by any means necessary. And this is what people like James Clapper and John Brennan are for. They're going to start another fraudulent network of censorship with Facebook, colluding with different states to interfere in the election process, signing different intel letters, combating all the, calling stuff misinformation when it's actually authentic. Did you guys know that John Brennan and James Clapper knew that the Hunter Biden laptop was authentic back in September of 2019? So back in 2019, all these people, including the FBI, the CIA, and all these corrupt CIA intel and all these corrupt intel officials that signed that letter, every single one of them knew that the Hunter Biden laptop was authentic back in 2019. And they signed that letter anyways. It's disgusting the amount of fraud these people have portrayed onto the American people. to get their guy, their preferred candidate across the finish line, only for him to destroy this country at a record's pace. And these people aren't impacted by this. John Brennon and James Clapper are probably multimillionaires because of their security clearances. They probably sit on the board of Raytheon or Boeing, making millions of dollars. Just like Joe Biden's family, making millions of dollars, literally selling this country out to foreign adversaries. While the American people here are struggling to pay their damn light bills. You have homeless veterans being kicked back onto the streets from a shelter so that their bed could be replaced with illegal immigrants. You have this country flooding with millions and millions of illegal immigrants. That is going to permanently damage this country. It is changing this country forever, and not in a good way. I mean, and then these people, these unions, they want to talk about why things are so bad. You're sitting here siding with Joe Biden, this corrupt UAW leader, sides with Joe Biden, essentially endorses Joe Biden. I think we can all make that connection just by listening to him. Sides with Joe Biden, and all these people don't realize that it's because of Joe Biden your pay sucks. This is what I don't get. It's like they don't see what the problem is. They can't make the connection. Your pay sucks because inflation is so high. Inflation is so high because Joe Biden sucks and the Democrats' crappy policies and their EV battery policies, their Green New Deal crap. That's why your pay sucks. And so don't take it out on the American consumer. The only thing that's going to happen to the UAW, this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to make this prediction right now. And I hate making predictions, but this is exactly what I think is going to happen. And I'm not, I'm pretty good at these theories of mine. What's going to happen is the UAW is going to, if they strike a deal with what they want, which is essentially what they want is a 46% raise to work only 4 days a week. Like, what? Are these people nuts? But regardless of that, if they get this deal, that cost is going to get passed down to the consumer. It is then going to increase the price of the car and the parts so much that people are just going to go buy foreign vehicles, imported vehicles. And because of that, these big 3 car manufacturing companies are either going to go out of business, which means laying all these people off that are striking right now. They're not going to have a job in 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, this raise is pointless. They're essentially striking to destroy the manufacturing companies, the car manufacturers, the same companies that they want to raise from. It's going to destroy them, and these people are going to be out of work in 4 to 5 years because it's going to increase the cost of the car so much people are just going to go buy foreign vehicles. I mean, do these people, I just don't get it. They're just asking for, I don't agree with this whatsoever. I'm part of a union, and my union just screwed me. I got screwed. And I'll tell you one thing, the government entity that I work for is heavily Democrat, heavily radical leftist. In fact, the union purposely endorsed Joe Biden for president. And then the union allows the American people to get screwed out of thousands of dollars on their annual salary. And these people will continue to vote for it. It is mind-boggling to me how they can't make the connection. Nobody was having these problems during the Trump administration. Why? Because the economy was absolutely booming during Donald Trump's administration. We had the best economy this place has seen in decades. Lowest inflation rate, lowest unemployment rate, and then lowest unemployment rate for minorities. Everything about this country was spectacular, all across the board. People's quality of life was improving. People were saving money. Interest rates were low, so therefore people could buy homes. I bought my first home because of the Trump administration. I would never be able to afford a home now. Nobody can. The interest rates are like 6, 7, 8%. Go try and get a car loan. Go and try and get financing for a used car. Forget about it. You're talking about 8, 9% interest rates. And these people don't realize that it's the policies they vote for. I say the crisis happening in New York City is probably the quickest result of instant policy karma that the New Yorkers could see. It is the quickest turnaround of why Democrats' policies suck than anything that I've ever seen in the past. And so these people need to realize that it's their party. It's the policies the party supports. It's the mindset. It's the ideology. Democrats' ideas suck now. They suck. This is not the party of the Kennedys anymore. If you were to look at the Kennedys today, they would probably be a conservative to today's standards, because that's how far left the Democrat Party has moved. I stayed in my spot. I kept my principles. I kept everything in place. And now I find myself on the conservative side. The Democrats went way overboard. And so I just think it's necessary for these people to see the destruction of the policies that they vote for. And then maybe they'll stop voting for it. I don't know. Only when the pain becomes too great do people find the will to change. Only at the precipice do people find the will to change. So when New York is in absolute chaos, which it is now, when New York is almost completely dead on its dying breath, then maybe the people will learn to stop voting for the same Democrat policies that killed it. I mean, it's so common sense. And so same thing with the union people. These people, they don't realize that these costs are not going to be coming from the CEO. These people envy the CEO making all this money and the owners making all this money and so on and so forth. Okay, that's life, man. It sucks. Everybody's struggling right now. These people are talking about getting a 46% raise. What? On a 4-day week? I mean, what? These people, listen, more power to you. But I think it's important for you to see down in the future. Just think ahead. Just think ahead. Ask yourself the question, and then what? And I promise you, you will come to the conclusion that it's a bad idea to force these car manufacturers to pay you $150,000 a year. Because all that's going to happen is exactly like I explained earlier. And then in 4 to 5 years, you won't have a job at all. At all. I'm not knocking the workers. It's the unions, man. The freaking unions suck. Trust me, I'm part of one. And I got to be forced. I'm trying to leave it, but they make it almost impossible to leave. In fact, I just signed a petition today to recertify our union for the recertification so that we can get rid of this union and get more people in, to get different people in, because these people totally screwed us. Totally screwed us. But yet they endorse Joe Biden and all the policies that come with it. So they endorse the policies that screwed us, and then it's just incredible. It's incredible. So, look, that's all we got for today. I actually had one more interesting thing I wanted to leave the show off with this. I thought this was pretty cool. So I got an article here from Fox News. NASA finds more than rocks inside the space capsule carrying asteroid samples. And so black dust and debris were found on the avionics deck of the canister containing the first deep space asteroid sample captured in U.S. history. NASA scientists made the discovery after the aluminum lid was removed from the OSIRIS-REx mission's canister, which completed its 7-year-long mission. The dust is presumed to be part of a sample, a spokesperson for NASA Johnson Space Center told Fox News, adding the scientists plan to conduct a quick look analysis on it. This was expected and was always a part of the curation procedures. So this launched back in 2016, and it collected samples from Bennu, a carbon-rich asteroid with a long stick vacuum. And then I guess some of the samples contents were lost due to a jammed door after collection. Imagine that. Imagine waiting all this time and then the door jams on your sample collection, on your sample collector. Like, that had to be extremely frustrating, man. So the ship began its journey back to Earth on May 10th, 2021. So it hauled ass back to Earth. So it was booking it back here to Earth. I mean, if it was launched in 2016, the capsule traveled about 4 billion miles in total during the $1 billion mission. And so again, the United States has a spending problem. We don't have an income problem. And I think NASA is one of those burdens on the taxpayer. I really do. I don't think it's not necessary for NASA anymore. I think NASA is a burden on the people. It hurts me to say that since I'm a huge space nut. But I just think, privatized space flight is just better now. It's more efficient. It's the free market. It's capitalism, man. There's no good substitute for the free market. Everything is going to be better in the free market than it is going to be government funded and taxpayer funded. And there is a list of reasons why that I could go over. But the thing is these programs like the NASA program, they're just so bloated and wasteful and ineffective and inefficient that and it becomes like that over time. And this is exactly what we were talking about yesterday with this debt crisis, with this CR bill that they're trying to get through. Some of these programs in this non-discretionary funding, some of these programs are 15, 20 years old. They haven't been looked at in decades, in years. So it's the same thing with NASA. NASA's like on this rotating auto pay function to where they just get paid no matter what. And this place is spending billions and billions of dollars for something that Elon Musk and SpaceX can do for a fraction of the cost. A fraction of the cost. So I hate to say this, is I say NASA needs to be cut by like 90%. Just keep a skeleton crew there to launch, or I don't know what you would even need it for, because SpaceX is doing everything now. I mean, they have essentially taken over Kennedy Space Center. I mean, they use all the launch pads, they use all the hangars there. I mean, so they might as well just relieve the taxpayers in this time of crisis. That's $1 billion. I mean, how many billions of dollars does NASA intake? How many billions of dollars does NASA cost the American taxpayer? A lot. And what are the American people getting for it? I mean, maybe it was great back in the 60s on the Apollo missions. I think it's absolutely necessary. NASA was absolutely necessary back in the 60s during the space race. Absolutely. It served so many different functions, including bankrupting Russia, the Soviet Union. But I mean, now it's outdated, man. It's outdated. It really is a burden on the taxpayer at this point. And so I think NASA probably takes $400 billion, $500 billion. Who knows? I don't know. I'll look in it when I get off. I'll look into it after the show, but I guarantee it's in the hundreds of billions. And they're not launching shuttles anymore. They'll launch satellites once in a while. They'll launch payloads, but for the most part, it's all SpaceX, man. Just hand the reins over to SpaceX and then, take a bow. These people, they started it all. They started the space race, and I think I think it's ridiculous that the taxpayers have to continue funding NASA in perpetuity forever. Like it's one of those programs that they think needs to be around forever. And it's not right that the taxpayer has to pay the price for these people unwilling to, I don't know, get laid off, to lose their job or get transferred somewhere else. It's all about money, folks. It's all about money. That is it. So I think they should keep a skeleton crew for emergencies, like if we got to blow up an asteroid that's going to explode the Earth. But even then, if there was this massive global killing asteroid coming towards the Earth, does anybody really trust NASA at this point? I mean, these people, it takes them 5 years to launch a empty crew capsule around the moon with their latest Artemis missions. And so, I mean, that's like a 15-year program that they've been stretching out so everyone can keep their jobs, essentially, is what it is. It's just like anything else, man. No one wants to admit that it's a failing program. It's just failing. There's just no need for it. It's obsolete. And nobody wants to admit it there at NASA. So I think NASA needs some serious cuts, and it hurts me to say that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get any more space flight. we have all these private companies doing it now. You have other countries all up into the space race too now. It's wild. I just think NASA is just a burden on the taxpayer. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today's show. I wanted to leave off on a little bit of lighter note. I actually want to see what's inside. Could you imagine holding rocks and space dust from an asteroid billions of miles from Earth? That to me is mind-blowing, man. Mind-blowing. And, I guess, but I mean, is that asteroid dust worth the billions and billions of dollars to the taxpayer? Something they're not even going to be able to see or touch or do anything with? I don't know. Maybe for science it was worth it, but at a time like this, I don't think it is. But I think it's truly incredible that mankind landed a spacecraft on an asteroid, collected a sample, and then got it back to Earth. It's just one of those reminders that the human race is capable of doing some pretty incredible things. So, I just think it's time for them to pass on the gauntlet. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, the show has went on entirely way too long. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you could, please, again, follow the show on Rumble. So if whatever you're doing right now, if you're listening to the show on Rumble, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, follow the show. And if you're listening to it on any platform, follow it and share it with your friends and family. Let them know what's going on. I'm going to keep an eye on this Brennan Clapper situation with the DHS, this intel program that they're starting now, and I'll keep you up to date with what's going on with that. Hopefully they get it defunded. Look, the only way they're going to do it is if you guys take action and be proactive about it. Call that phone number I gave you to the Senate and ask them to give you the number to the House, and then also have them transfer you to your senator and say, look, there's a no-go on this intel program. It's no different from the Disinformation Governance Board that they tried to start almost a year ago. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. I want you guys to have an awesome Friday, TGIF. Have a good Friday, and I'm going to be putting out a show on Saturday and Sunday, so make sure you tune into those shows. I want you guys to have a great Friday. Enjoy yourself this weekend. Make sure you get some rest on Sunday. It is the day of rest. Get some R&R, and I'll talk to you guys soon. So, you guys have a good day. God bless you. God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.